Bing Maps. You can actually download stuff that can integrate with, or rather have Silverlight to be integrated onto your website. There are a whole bunch of software development kits, so if you're a developer and you're a PHP developer, there are whole tons and tons of resources here for you. There are also labs available, you can try that out. So if Eclipse is your tool of choice, no worries, you can actually download, like if you're doing cloud development, you can actually download the SDK for Eclipse, and that allows you to build PHP applications that you can test locally, develop, test locally, and when you're ready, you can just push this over to the Microsoft Cloud, which is out there in the sky, right? So those are the things you can do. There are a whole bunch of projects available. I want to show you some mini projects for PHP as well. So there are countless resources that are available for PHP developers. So if you want to create web slices, if you go over to the star.com.my, it essentially creates a small little favorite here. So as you can see, when I click on this, it gives me a snippet of what the website is about. Sometimes people would actually feature some kind of RSS feed over here, but you can actually do a lot of things because whenever there is an update, that thing actually glows or it turns into bold to attract the user's attention, and they can actually check it out. And you can also have very interactive applications in here. So like in this case, I have a Silverlight application that's running within my web slice here. The whole idea here is that now you want to draw people back to your site or to your blog, right? So, but people wouldn't, unless if this is something that's set as a homepage, it may be pretty unlikely that people keep on going there, right? So you want to put something here that actually stays there so as to attract those viewers or those readers to always come back to your blog. So like in this case, we actually ran this, it's part of our digital marketing campaign. It's called A Slice of Kevin, and it's actually done by the team in Microsoft New Zealand. So it's kind of like a game here, and this is written in Silverlight. So you can have basic HTML content that is extracted from your website, or if you choose so, you can actually have very interactive content, a Silverlight application that is actually running here. In fact, there's also a Facebook web slice, so that maybe I don't want to open up Facebook when I'm in an office. It's not good, especially if my boss is around. But I can quickly just take a snippet of what's happening. So you get the idea, right? This is things that attracts your users to come back to your website without necessarily having to type in the URL of your site or your blog in order to get in there. Very quick way for people to just see what they want to do, but most of the time you want to put your premium content over here because ultimately you still need to bring them back to your blog or to your website, right? So these are some of the projects which are available, and I already talked about the mini projects for PHP. Now let's see WordPress running on Windows. Okay, so I show you that this is indeed running on IIS. So this is my dashboard. Okay, everything I can do, I can go over to. This is still the old team. There's a new team available, but everything that you want is available here. So I've also installed some plugins. The great thing about plugins, and I'm so excited to see there's so many plugins available in WordPress. For Microsoft, we also have some plugins developed either by our enthusiasts, by some employees who have a lot of free time. They have also developed some plugins, and also some plugins which are officially developed by Microsoft. I've actually installed a number of these plugins. I've also activated them. In my next demo, I will show you how to use some of these plugins to, for instance, embed a Silverlight application into your WordPress site, and also have some very, very nifty things done. So this is the basic theme. So all of this is actually running in my local machine right now. Okay. So we all love plugins, and that includes Microsoft as well. This is a really powerful thing, and I've actually taken a look at the code behind that. It doesn't really take too much, a whole bunch of functions written in PHP, and it's really simple to understand. So we have a bunch of plugins, and a lot of these plugins actually relates to Silverlight development, because we find that Silverlight is something that is very easily, it's another piece of cake that PHP developers can just embed that within their site, and it's great for WordPress. So if you ask what's that lining in the sky, we'd like to think that's Silverlight. So let me show you, the first plugin I'm going to show you is Silverlight for WordPress. Just a show of hands here, how many of you here are familiar or have heard or have deployed the Silverlight runtime in your browser. Right? Quite a number of you guys. Right? So Silverlight are rich interactive applications. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go back to my dashboard. Okay. So you can see that the one that I'm going to use, right, is called Silverlight for WordPress. Now, if you want to add plugins, right, the term to search for, just type Silverlight, and you'll be able to find a bunch of plugins available here. So we go Silverlight, search plugins. If you want to search for plugins that relates to cloud development or specifically Windows Azure development, just type Azure. So you can see there is Silverlight for WordPress, and this is the one that I've installed. Okay. So I'm going to go to my post, add a new one, and I'm going to call this my WordCamp Silverlight post. And I want to add, I'm going to turn it into HTML editing mode. I'm going to add a Silverlight application. The Silverlight application is already sitting inside my WordPress directory, and it's called Hello PHP Developers. And all Silverlight applications, right, are packaged into this format called XAP, XAP. Okay, it's just a package format. In fact, there's no other than a zip file with a bunch of things in there. Now, in order to build Silverlight applications, there's something else. I won't cover that in my talk. But there are tons and tons of resources out there on the internet that teaches you how to build Silverlight applications. But I already have one Silverlight application developed, and for me to insert this into my blog post is as simple as just typing Silverlight and putting the name, okay, and then I shall publish this. So let me take a look at the post. So you see, this part here is a Silverlight application. I've just embedded Silverlight application. How to make sure about that, just do a right mouse click, and you see it says Silverlight. So this is running the latest Silverlight runtime, which is 4.0. And I click a button, right? Hello PHP developers. It's, right? Nothing cool, it's just another hello world. But it just shows how simple it is for you to embed a Silverlight application in here. You can of course have a more chunky type of Silverlight application there. So I've actually taken the liberty to borrow one such Silverlight application. Okay, and I'm gonna put that in here. So that one was a little bit plain, but I'm actually adding another RSS reader here, which actually tells the weather. So if I view that, and there you go. If I right mouse click here, it says Silverlight, and I can actually type in what's the postcode, whatnot, click submit. But because I actually borrowed this Silverlight application, it would not work on my blog post because there's also security in place. This Silverlight application actually talks to the server side, and the server side basically only allows communication to be from this site, devdmans.com, right? So there's also another security feature there. So you can also build some kind of server side services that allows your front-end Silverlight application, which is sitting in your browser, to talk to your server side. So in just like one liner, I've embedded the Silverlight application into my blog post. Okay. Now, where do you find more Silverlight applications? That's a very good showcase. If you go to silverlight.net and just click on showcase, see there are tons and tons of Silverlight applications available, like this one here, a whole bunch of them. They're all very interactive in nature. Okay, so do check them out. Okay. Now, the next thing, or what I'm going to show you, another plugin I'm going to show you is a Silverlight media player. Now, I do understand that a lot of people actually embed YouTube videos onto their blogs. It's basically just do referencing an object, right? But you can actually have the Silverlight media player embedded within your blog site. And why would you like to do that? One thing, the Silverlight media player is actually open source. Okay, so that means you can actually customize this to your heart's content. We have partners in the States who have actually customized the Silverlight media player because the source code is entirely available to you. They've customized it to allow putting ads, right, into the Silverlight media player. They've actually put in multiple camera angles, and that's exactly what they've done most recently at the Winter Olympics. You can actually just search for it. It's developed by this company called Vertigo. So they actually built the Silverlight media player. There's also tutorials available. So if you want to check that out, you can just go to smf.codeplex.com this brings you over to